Welcome to Sports. It is your boy Mike, and this is my Raptors weekly conversation. Now, of course, we're in the dead times of the NBA season, so what do we have to talk about? But like I go to bed thinking about so much Raptor things to talk about because this team is frustrating. One of the guys who you see me do an interview with, Sean Woodley, has been a little negative, right? And I don't blame him because he is the most positive guy when it comes to the Raptors. So I think to myself, if Sean Woodley could be negative, and sometimes I consider myself the black Sean Woodley, maybe I should be a little negative on this pod. Maybe I should, tear down what I'm seeing. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to steal something from Sean Woodley, the great, one of the great, Raptors guys, and I'm going to do it here on this pod. And I'm going to talk about the fact of what and why this is just not going to work. Just this 6'9" thing, all the like, it's not going to work. Scotty at point is not going to work. I'm just going to babble on why, but then I'm also going to talk about why it can work. But before I continue, make sure you like, subscribe, follow on all social media platforms, do your thing. I had a whole thing of Raptor conversation I was going to have, but the fact is, let's talk about this. What the hell is going on? These two guys behind me, I've talked about them so much, especially the guy to my left, probably your right when you're watching this. This Pascal Siakam has gone through so much trade talks. Now Scotty Barnes getting talked about just because guess what? Dame has to get traded and Dame has to go to a team. He can't promote the fact that he's not gonna come. He has to show up. And because that's being said, Barnes' name has been spoken about a lot. Same with Pascal, of course. Now, I think the way this team is going to kind of stay the same. I think these are the two guys that we're going to have. I think the squad is what we're going to see. I don't see a lot of changes unless someone gets dropped by another team. Maybe Toronto wants to take a flyer on the Oladipo, things like that. Which I think like a lot of teams are going to want to take a flyer on Oladipo because of the fact that if he's healthy, he's a guy who can potentially give you 12 points a game and potentially some good defense. He's not the all-star, all-NBA Oladipo. It's a much like beaten and battered Oladipo, but you're thinking you can get something out of that. That's what I'm thinking some of these teams. But maybe you get something like that. Maybe a Trey Man. Maybe there's someone else that one of these teams may drop that you can get. Because with this Raptor team, what does it still need? Is some guard depth. The Raptors team still needs some guard depth. Right now, they don't have that at all. So let me talk about. I'm gonna give you the reasons. I don't know if I have I could have. Some of them thinking off the spot. But the first reason I'm gonna say why this is not gonna work out is because Scotty can't shoot the three at a consistent level. If Scotty Barnes, who essentially everyone believing is your point guard, if he can shoot at a 36 to 37 rate. I'm not saying no one's really shooting 40 unless you're just an absolute sharpshooter. But if you can shoot at a 36, 37% rate, and I mean, he has to attempt like 4 times a game, which means if you look at the averages, he has to have games of, 1 of 6. But then he has to have a 4 of 7 game. Like, those are the type of numbers that need to happen. He needs to shoot 10 times and go literally 6 of 10, while next game going 1 of 10. But at least his average will overall be like a 37%. That means in NBA terms, that's consistent. It's consistent because a lot of your shots are contested, the speed of the game, blah, blah, tiredness, whatever. But if Scotty can go 37% shooting three, this team will be much better. But that's not going to happen, right? Well, no, I can't say it's not going to happen. I'm just saying why it's not going to work. Because if he's not going to do that, this is not working out at all. At all. You need your point guard to be a threat shooting. Because when the point guard is normally on the top of the key, and you want to say, like, if the person doesn't, if this person gives you too much space, you have a pull up three. Kyle Lowry had a great pull up three. Fred, sometimes his numbers may not always show it, but he was a very consistent 3-point shooter and was a pretty good pull up three guy. He missed his last shot that everyone could talk about that I went crazy for. Was a pull up three that he missed like widely, and I hated the shot greatly. But he, in a lot of moments, especially big moments, hit those shots. And you need your point guard to do that. So unless Scotty's gonna do that, it's not gonna work out. This whole thing of him being R1 is not gonna work out unless you're really thinking this guy's Magic Johnson and his vision is gonna be that great that he's just gonna make everyone better. His ability to play in the pick and roll, the two-man game with him and Pascal is gonna be that great that you're not gonna be too worried. And see, that was my number one, him not shooting the three. But let's just go. This is 1 point, like 1 point B. That 1 point A was 1 point B. Him having a reliable jumper. Once again, if you're a point guard, you need a reliable jumper. You need a reliable shot in general. You can't be horrible. Like you look at Rondo. Rondo wasn't able to shoot for the longest time. Rondo could not shoot. Then he got the shot. You know how deadly his shot was. Rondo's mid range is nice. DeJounte Murray coming out of college wasn't the greatest shooter, but his mid range was nice. When your mid range is consistent, I think sky's the limit for you. That's why I always think to myself, somebody like Pascal, I don't care if he shoots threes at all. I don't need Pascal to say I can shoot threes. I don't care. No, it's not the one thing. I want him to have the ability to shoot a jumper. Like I want Chris Bosh type. Like I didn't. If he was a Chris Bosh type, I think sky's the limit because I believe on what the shot can do. When you have a jumper, I think they have to contest. So that's why I want to be Barnes' ability to shoot. So I think you can really just say overall, my number one is Barnes' ability to shoot. If it's not consistent, this is not going to work out. Number two, it doesn't work out with having Jakob Poeltl with these guys. And I'm just being negative. Like I'm saying what just doesn't work. I think Yak did so much for the team, but it's comes to the point, and this is Yak and just overall, this team is still kind of big. And like you want to be big, you want to be versatile. But Poeltl is not a versatile center. He's gonna play the post well. He's gonna be a good post defensive player. He's gonna guard the rim very well. Other than that, like he's not going to guard someone out, at the three. He's not going to do all that. With this team, like I said, it's a little too big. You need some more variety for the squad. When it's just Dennis Schroeder and basically Gary Trent Jr., the only ones who can consistently, who just honestly just play small. Everyone kind of plays big, but you need guys who can kind of get to the basket and be smaller guys. You need some variance of offense, and I don't think you have that right now. And I don't think I'm not sure if we're never going to get it, but we don't have it now at all. When I look at this squad, none of them have it. And I don't believe, because, when you go to someone like Koloko still has a lot of time left. Like he's not ready yet. Could he be a serviceable backup, playing 10 minutes a game? Yeah, I believe so. Could Precious be? Yeah. I believe Boucher, yeah. Maybe you put Scotty a little bit at the five. You have OG put at the five. You have Pascal. So you can always play small ball five. But once again, this team is too big. A lot of the lineups are always going to have somebody, four guys above 6'5", unless we go. The funny thing, the ultra small lineup for Toronto is, Gary, Dennis Schroeder, OG, if you put a Jeff Down Jr. and of course Malachi Flynn. Like these are the smallest guys on the squad, but there's just not a lot of roster variance on the squad. And I think that's a detriment to this team as a whole. Is that something that you need balance. The one thing we always talk about 2019 Raptors, they were like they can do anything. Like even before 2019, I think when they had Dwayne Casey, DeMar, and Kyle, they could have played a traditional center in JV or have a rangy like wing type defensive player in a Serge Ibaka. So you had the ability to always do two, right? And I think that was what made it good. And Serge Ibaka at that could shoot the three at one point, and JV he at one point was leading the league in 3-point shooting shooting three percentage wasn't great, but the percentage was good. But like you need someone who can shoot the three, and I'm thinking that's Pirtle. So I think your increase in bigs also hurts you because there's just no variety on the squad. There's no variety on this roster at all. It really, after Gary Trent Jr. and Dennis Schroeder, that's really it. Unless you're gonna play Malachi, which leads to the third reason why like this is not working out. We lost Fred VanVleet. By losing Fred VanVleet and getting Dennis Schroeder, Fred is better than Dennis, right? I do like the acquisition of Jalen McDaniels. I like Jalen McDaniels. I think he could be a good wing defender. I think he can potentially shoot the three at a better rate that he's shooting now. I think all those things are good factors for this Raptors squad. But once again, it leads to what I said, number two. There's no variety in lineup. There's just none. And they're too big. Like there's nothing else there for this team. So the bench depth isn't as great as we want to wish. The crazy thing is that this Raptors squad, for guys you want to see play minutes, is still like 11 deep. The potential starting unit, you have Scotty at the one, then they're going Gary at the two, OG, Pascal, Pirtle. You know what? That's still a serviceable starting five, which, when if Pascal and especially OG are hitting and even Gary, I think the great things could happen for this team. Now, after the five, Dennis Schroeder has to get some play time. Grady Dick, you draft him 13, has to get playing time. Then you have Precious, who has a prove it year. Then you have Otto Porter Jr. Then you didn't bring Jalen McDaniels to not play, so you got to play Jalen McDaniels as well. That's already like that's game five guys. You still have Otto Porter that you got to play. Boucher, who I feel like everyone's like just not mentioning, which I don't mention either because I still feel like he is the best potential trade asset to get you a guard. And I'm not saying you need, especially with the way this squad and is going, you may not need this like the highest caliber guard, but you need a guard that you can trust that can play some minutes. And of course, like I said, a lot of people want Jeff Downs Jr. to play. I love Thad Young. I want him to play some minutes. I think what he can do, but even if he doesn't play, I think Thad Young is just a good vet. I'm so glad that he's on the squad. If I'm being truly honest, I'm very glad he's on the squad. I hope we don't trade him. I'm more of a Boucher, Precious kind of. One of them got to go for like a really good guard. Any guard would be really good. Starting caliber would be perfect, but that's not obviously going to happen anymore. I think they're really banking on the Scotty point guard of it all. But that's what I would say. Like the first three things that popped in my head, like that third being, like I said, it's just no bench depth. You may want all those guys to play, but there's no one besides, I would say, Dennis Schroeder that you can confidently say that you trust off the bench. You confidently say you trust him. Now, if Dennis ends up starting, which I don't see that being the case, and it could be because things change all the time. And then Gary comes off the bench. Once again, Gary's the one that you would trust the most out of everyone else. Precious and Boucher. Boucher was actually the most consistent guy. But I think the reason why no one's including him is because I think everyone's ready for Boucher to be traded. I think even myself sometimes I'm not awaiting it, but I think it's the best thing for Boucher and Precious to be traded. And another thing with this squad overall, which gives me some pause, is the talent. And I know Pascal, to me, Pascal's a top 25 player. At one point last year, he's playing like a top 15 player. Look at every ranking, look at every ringer ranking until one point. The man was a top 15 player. I think he got a little injured, so that's what kind of caused him to drop down a little bit. But him and then everybody else, you're just, when it comes to he's the best player, right? You kind of have a limit there. I believe in Pascal a lot, but there's still a limit to Pascal as a whole. Now, there's guys like Barnes, third year, you're hoping great things happen for Scotty Barnes. And then there should be. Scotty Barnes should improve a lot. OG, same thing. OG wants more touches, he wants more everything. Not sure that's going to happen necessarily. I really don't think so. Gary Trent, very young. We want to see what happens there. You're hearing great things coming off his offseason. It's offseason, right? You're hoping that he becomes, honestly, if he became that like guard, like that a lead guard, touch a top 12 shooting guards in the league, heck, touch a top 10, like be where the Maxis are, the Tyler Heroes are. That's great. It's a great look for a Gary Trent, but a lot of it's like hoping and praying. A lot of it's like the talent isn't where you want it to be. Do I have moments where I'm like, man, this team can be really good? Yeah. But I did in my podcast a couple, weeks ago, I said, where do they rank? Where does the Raptors rank between all the other teams? And they were like 10th, 11th. So I didn't think they were better than the top teams. There are some teams, and of course, the New Yorks, the Atlantas, that a lot of people would say, no, the Raptors aren't better than. If people did a lot of re-rankings, Raptors would not be a top 10 team. They wouldn't make a playing team, especially with the loss of Nick Nurse and Fred VanVleet. A lot of people are not going to believe in this team. Now, if they were to keep a Fred, I said they kept Fred and somehow still got Dennis Schroeder, I believe in this team because this bench would then look like Gary and Dennis Schroeder with like a Precious, a Boucher, a Otto. I would like that squad. Also with Otto Porter, I'm gonna say all the time. I need 40 games. And I don't need beginning. I need back half 40. Then I think this team will be really good if Otto Porter, who can shoot 40% with the three, um, you want that. That's what I would be, you know, praying for, ultimately speaking. Now, that's a little negative. Been a little negative. I understand. I'm gonna go positive of why this whole thing can work, which I feel like my positives are going to not my positive, and I think it's probably like once again wishful thinking, and I just spoke about it now, is the growth of all these guys. Believe in the growth of Pascal. The man keeps getting better every single year. I'm not sure how much better he's gonna get, but we used to say that about DeMar DeRozan, and he got better until like he went to Chicago. Still had a really good first year. Once again, had a really good second year. You know, when it comes to DeMar's been really good. I wish like the Bulls would tank and trade him. We just trade the first round pick for DeMar or something. I kind of wish for things like that because I always think the Raptors just need a real bucket getter when the closing moments come to get over the hump, especially when they had a Fred VanVleet. But yeah, you have a Scotty Barnes who like year three should be better. You know, I never had any expectations of Scotty year two. Do I have expectations now? Yeah. If we're playing Scotty at the five, I want that. I mean, at the one, I want that. Now the thing with Scotty is we need his energy. He went up and down a lot. I think he was the one, like him and Fred, I think got along, but of course they clashed. I think you stopped seeing the smile on Scotty's face, and sometimes players just play better when they're smiling. You know, Pascal said it. He plays better himself when he's smiling, when he's happy, when he's enjoying the game, and that's what you kind of wish for everyone to enjoy the game. So I'm hoping Scotty this season will become better. Gary once again becoming a Terrence Maxey type of player. OG, I I want OG to like accept his role, to be honest. I don't want OG to get out of his role. I think OG can be one of the best, if not the best, 3-and-D wings in the league. I think he can be the best. You know, yeah, he can give you 20 points a game, but I want him locking down the best defensive player on the other squad. Like when I look at this Raptor squad, I want Pascal to be my number one scorer. Now that there's no Fred, if I say it right now, I want Gary to be my number two scorer. Just because I believe that Gary can average darn near 23 points a game, just because of his talent and ability to score the basket. Then Scotty, I want him to be my all-around player, plus with an OG Anunoby. So that's one thing I can say that I really like about this squad. Number two, the defense. The defense should be elite. Pirtle's a great defender. Of course, Pascal is a really good defender. OG is elite. Scotty has all the tools to be elite. Gary is a good defender. He's the only one that's gonna him and Dennis. They're gonna face the biggest matching hunting out of all the guys. But once again, still pretty good. Dennis Schroeder is a good defensive player. Jalen McDaniels is a good defensive player. So there's still guys on this squad that are good. Of course, Precious is really good. So I'm thinking defensively, this team should be like top 10. Top 10, this team should be in defense because they have the ability. They're still long as hell. They're still long as hell. You put a lineup of a Coloco, a Pascal, McDaniels, a Scotty, and an OG. That's a long team. That's a long team, right? That's an incredibly long team, right? So it'll be hard. You can play off each other, things like that. So that's something I believe in. Another thing I believe in is this is like first few months syndrome of getting a head coach. If Darko is who everyone says he is, I believe in the development that he can bring to this team. I do hate the fact that I hate sometimes I feel like the Raptors get like young coaches, and we've had guys in the past that like Kevin O'Neill, who I'm not sure if I truly believe in those type of people. I don't, I just want to see, I should say, like Darko really show out well, some of us believe he can do as a head coach. So I'm very curious to see what Darko could do, and I think that's one of the reasons why I believe this team could be good. I think Darko can bring a level of energy. I've already heard that some of the things that he's done is different than what Nick Nurse does. He's way more communicative. He wants to talk. Wants everyone to be a community. He wants everyone to enjoy basketball more. So I believe that's something that we should expect from this team is the enjoyment of basketball. As much as we're all going to, dislike the moves that Masai and Bobby have made, it's one of those things where I believe in Masai. Always. I believe in Masai. But with believing in Masai, I do think there's certain things that he didn't do a great job at. And I could be biased. Like the Norm and Gary trade. I understand it from its root core. Gary's younger than Norm. Gary can help us better now than Norm could. But if you want to win, you keep a guy like Norm. You just do. If Norm was on this team, I think this team. One of the things I think last year would have been a better season. Honestly, not that it was Gary's fault. I just think having veteran leadership with a coach that wants to play his vets, I think it's better. Another thing I should say I even like is that there's a potential that everyone's minutes will go down. I think they need that. I think Pascal's minutes need to go down. That would help his efficiency. I think when Pascal this season, Pascal's defense, I don't even see him. He's gonna be a good defender because he always is. But you're almost saying he doesn't have to be a great defender because you need so much more of him, especially offensively. Like he's gonna have to do his thing offensively, for real, for real. He's gonna have to do his thing offensively. So is Scotty. Um, this team's gonna be weird, and Vision 6-9 hasn't is not done. It seems because with losing Fred, it's and then adding a Jalen McDaniels, you've only added more of this, and I'm really hoping that this team is much better. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But that's some of the things I see. I don't. I know I already talked so much, but like the one thing I want to talk about overall in the podcast is that make sure you guys like subscribe, of course. Scotty and Pascal, the two guys behind me, their roles are, and I just kind of mentioned it with Pascal a little bit, but I'll go more in depth. Their roles are so important for this squad. Um, Barnes is gonna have to be a real leader. Pascal's gonna have to be a real leader. And I keep saying I'm gonna make a video about Pascal's leadership. I will because I think it's just more of a tangent that I gotta go on. But Pascal has to be a leader, learn from the guys like Kyle and DeMar and what they did to get all the troops going. Unfortunately, Barnes never got to experience that. Barnes was led by a bunch of vets and this and that, but the best thing that both guys can do is become the best leaders they can be. No matter what the situation is, no matter if they're down 20, if they're up 20, they gotta push it. Barnes's energy is, Barnes is very charismatic. So you're hoping that he can still bring that energy. He's about Pascal. This year's a big year for Pascal. It's a big year. I think Pascal, once again, though, I think Pascal can do 25 points a game. I almost think he has to do 25 points a game. I think he has to do 25 points a game. You need it. You essentially need it from him. I think OG, I understand what he wants. I know he wants more. And you want to believe that with more responsibility, OG will be better. But I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that when he had the opportunity when Pascal was out, we didn't see a lot. If we saw a lot during that time, then I think we could have said something now, but it's not there. Now, Pascal and Scotty, like I said, when I talk about their rules, I look at their stat lines and Scotty has to give you like 8 assists a game. has to give you about 8 rebounds a game. He has to be Ben Simmons. I was thinking, I was thinking like more Giannis light. Barnes is give you Giannis light. He is a better shooting version of Draymond and Ben Simmons. So Scotty should be improving in that sense. You're hoping the pick and roll offense, of course, is really good with a Barnes and Pirtle. But what hurts it is that Barnes can't shoot the jumper at the level that you want him to shoot the jumper. If he did, things would be much better. But yeah, Pascal has to, when the chips are down, he needs to call for the ball more. The one thing I think a lot of people sometimes got frustrated at, Fred about is that he didn't pass the ball when it was time to pass the ball. Where this time, Pascal's your number one guy. Like there's no 1A, 1B, no. It wasn't Pascal sharing with Fred. Pascal's the best player on the squad. Pascal's the all-star, he's the all-NBA player. Pascal has to have the ball. He should be demanding the ball. That's the one thing we want to all see from Pascal is him demanding the ball. He has to be like, Scotty, we're down 3. Give me 3. If we see that, then once again, the limit is the sky. Limits the sky when we see things like that. But yeah, both guys are going to have humongous roles for this season and upcoming. Barnes, especially, it could be for multiple seasons that he's going to have to show out. It's just the way it is. But Pascal, I believe in Pascal. I believe in his talent. I believe I wouldn't want to trade him unless I'm getting a Scoot Henderson or like a bunch of draft picks, like a bunch. You got to be ruined for like months. And right now, Pascal's trade value is horrible because the Raptors made it clear that they want to trade him. But it's also weird because sometimes they do that so people can not be interested either. So I don't know about that. But I know this team's gonna be okay. Like this is gonna be okay. I don't, maybe I should every end of the podcast I should predict. I'm gonna go 41-41. I'm gonna go like that for a while. I would have to see a guard come in for me to change my mind. A guard would have to come to change my mind. But that's it for me. Just want to do some quick Raptor conversation. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow on all streaming platforms. Follow the TikTok for sure. And I'll talk to you guys again. Peace.